The night everything began, I was supposed to be tied up in a late meeting, at least, that's what Lauren believed. However, a last-minute rescheduling changed my plans, and instead of filling her in, I simply decided to head home. No messages, no calls, just a quiet drive back, looking forward to an unexpected evening together, a rare chance for us to share a meal. Pulling into the driveway, I noticed it immediately. A car. Silver. A model I couldn't quite place, but one thing was certain, it wasn't ours. And whoever parked it here hadn't done so by mistake. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe a friend? Perhaps her sister had dropped by unannounced? But something about it unsettled me. My gut twisted. Stepping out, I shut the car door gently and moved closer. The hood was still warm. The driver's seat empty. The house loomed ahead, dark except for the glow of our bedroom light upstairs. I stood there, staring up at that window, feeling something cold and primal stir within me. A quiet voice in the back of my mind urged me to stay outside. Don't go in. But I did. The front door was unlocked. That in itself sent a chill down my spine. Lauren always locked the door. Always double-checked. It was a habit as ingrained as the way she left her keys in the bowl by the entrance. The way she always took exactly 4 ice cubes in her drink. The little details, the familiar patterns, you notice them when you've lived with someone long enough. And you notice when something is wrong. Stepping inside, I inhaled. The familiar scent of her perfume lingered in the air, but beneath it, something unfamiliar, something faint but distinct, made my stomach knot even tighter. My eyes landed on the couch. A jacket, dark leather, expensive-looking, was draped over it. Not mine. My heartbeat pounded in my chest. One slow step forward. The floorboard groaned beneath my foot and I froze. Silence. No sudden movement. Just the steady hum of the refrigerator and a soft murmur drifting from upstairs. Music. Lauren's playlist. The one she always played before bed. I moved toward the stairs, each step deliberate. Every muscle in my body tensed. I was listening, waiting for something. Anything. And then I heard it. A laugh. Muffled. Brief. Cut off. But it was hers. I don't remember sprinting up the stairs. Only the moment my hand shoved open the bedroom door. Lauren stood by the bed, wrapped in one of our sheets, her wide eyes locking onto mine like a cornered animal. The soft glow of the bedside lamp cast shadows across the room, highlighting the scene, the disheveled sheets, pillows scattered to the floor, and on the nightstand, 2 half-full glasses of wine. The music continued to play. Her lips parted, but no words came. Then movement. Behind her. A man. Shirtless. Taller than me. His hands moved, fumbling with his jeans, as if he still had time to piece this together, to find an excuse. Everything inside me turned to ice. Lauren stepped forward, one hand raised, like she could smooth this over, as if this were nothing more than a misunderstanding, an innocent mistake. David. Her voice was barely above a whisper. My own voice felt foreign when I finally spoke. Who is this? A pause. A hesitation. Too long. He's just a friend. A friend. I exhaled a slow, unsteady breath. My fingers curled into fists at my sides, nails pressing into my palms. My gaze flicked to the bed. The twisted sheets. The pillows half off the mattress. The wine. The music. The scent in the air that didn't belong to me. The man, Jake, I would later learn, ran a hand through his hair, caught somewhere between deciding whether to speak or stay silent. He chose wrong. Look, man, I didn't know she was married. I moved before I could think. My hand grabbed the nearest thing, one of the wine glasses, and sent it crashing against the wall. The sharp shatter echoed through the room, red streaks bleeding down the wallpaper. Lauren flinched. Jake took a step back. And then I looked at her. Really looked at her. She didn't seem guilty. She wasn't devastated. She looked annoyed. As if I was the problem. As if I was the one making a scene. Something inside me snapped. I stood there, chest rising and falling like I'd just run for miles, my ears ringing, my vision narrowing until all I could see was her face, the way her lips pressed into that thin, exasperated line. And then she had the nerve to tighten the sheet around her, as if I was the intruder here. Jake shifted beside her, rubbing his jaw like he was calculating his next move. His shirt lay crumpled on the floor. His shoes set neatly at the foot of my bed. My eyes caught the glint of his watch, gold, expensive, smug. Lauren exhaled, the sound one of sheer boredom. David, she said, voice slow, deliberate, as if speaking to a child. I can explain. Explain? Explain what? The wine? The bed? The man standing in our room, buttoning his jeans while she clutched a sheet to herself like she hadn't just betrayed everything we built? I took a step forward, my hands trembling at my sides. She noticed. I know she noticed. For a moment, just a flicker, her mask slipped. A crack in her composure. Was it fear? No. Panic. Because she understood. She understood that no matter what she said next, no matter what lie she tried to spin, it wouldn't be enough. Jake inched toward the door, and I let him. I didn't care about him. Not yet. Not right now. He was just a symptom. The real problem wasn't the situation, it was the person standing in front of me. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, hesitating as if deciding whether to force out some tears or double down on manipulation. In the end, she chose the latter. It's not what it looks like, she said. A dry, humorless laugh escaped me. Without a word, I turned my head slightly, gesturing toward the scene before us, the disaster of a bed, the 2 glasses of wine, the man hurriedly attempting to leave. Really? My voice came out dangerously low. Because it looks a lot like my wife is with another man. In our house? Lauren stiffened. Her eyes darted toward the door, her voice dropping to a sharp whisper. Keep your voice down, she hissed, as if worried the neighbors might hear. You're acting crazy right now. Crazy. That word rang in my head over and over. My fingers curled into fists, and I fought the urge to slam them into the nearest wall. Jake, the other man in the room, finally found his voice. Dude, look, I didn't. Shut up. I cut him off before he could finish, refusing to even acknowledge him. You don't get to talk. He fell silent immediately. Lauren let out a heavy sigh, as if this whole situation was nothing more than an inconvenience for her. David, don't, I interrupted, my voice shaking. Do not lie to me right now. Don't stand there, half-dressed, in our bedroom and try to convince me I'm not seeing exactly what's in front of me. Her gaze flickered to the broken glass on the floor, then back to me. You're being. I took a step forward, and that's when I noticed it, a necklace. A thin gold chain resting against her collarbone. It wasn't hers. I knew every piece of jewelry she owned because I had bought almost all of it. But this? This was new. Jake's. The same Jake who was inching closer to the door, like a cockroach looking for an escape. Lauren followed my stare and instinctively raised her hand to touch the necklace, but it was too late. I had already seen it. A weight pressed against my chest, my throat tightening. How long? I forced the words out. She blinked, pretending not to understand. What? I swallowed hard, trying to suppress the bile rising in my throat. How? Long? For a moment, she hesitated. I saw her mind working, calculating. And then, just like that, she settled on the worst possible response. She rolled her eyes. Rolled her eyes? Like I was the one overreacting. David, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Those words hit like a wrecking ball. My entire body tensed, my fists clenched so tightly my nails bit into my palms. My jaw locked so hard it ached. Without another word, I turned and stormed past Jake, who practically jumped out of my way. I grabbed my keys from the counter, my body humming with a dangerous energy, as if I was one wrong word away from completely losing control. Lauren followed me downstairs, clutching the sheet around herself. Where are you going? I didn't answer. I threw open the front door and stepped into the cool night air. David, she called after me. Can we just talk? Talk. She said it like we were arguing over something trivial, like a forgotten anniversary or dinner plans. I turned back, looking at her standing in the doorway, that ridiculous necklace still around her neck, her expression exasperated, like I was the one ruining her night. Something twisted deep inside me. I shook my head. I hope he was worth it. Then I got into my car and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. For hours I drove aimlessly, not because I needed time to think. Thinking wasn't even an option. My mind was a chaotic mess, a live wire sparking and hissing, caught between rage and disbelief so rapidly I could barely keep up. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles were white, my pulse pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. Lauren. My wife. Standing in our bedroom wrapped in nothing but a bedsheet, rolling her eyes like I was the one being unreasonable. My vision blurred with fury. Before I could stop myself, I slammed my fist against the dashboard. I wanted to turn the car around. Go back. Confront her. Tear the sheet from her shoulders and force her to look me in the eyes, to make her tell me the truth for once. But I already knew the truth, didn't I? Eventually, I pulled into an empty parking lot outside a diner that stayed open all night. I wasn't hungry, but I couldn't just keep driving. My hands still trembled. My head ached. I sat there, staring at the flickering neon open sign, feeling like I was somehow outside my own life, watching everything fall apart from a distance. Then my phone rang. I didn't need to look at the screen. I already knew who it was. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. Then finally I answered. I didn't speak. just held the phone to my ear, listening to the faint static on the line. Lauren's voice came through, hesitant, careful, fake. David. Silence stretched between us. Another breath from her side, this one softer, practiced, deliberate. Can we just talk? I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. Talk. My voice felt foreign, hoarse. Now you want to talk? She let out a sharp breath, the irritation clear in her tone. I don't want to do this over the phone. Do what? My fingers dug into my thigh. Fight. A pause. Fight, she repeated, like she still didn't get it. My jaw clenched so tightly my teeth ached. She still wasn't understanding. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't some simple argument we could brush aside. She hadn't just forgotten to take out the trash or overspent on something we didn't need. She had invited another man into our home, into our bed, and she wanted to call it a fight. I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. David, she said again, her voice softer now, more controlled. Just come home. We need to talk about this. The sheer audacity of it made my grip tighten around my phone. Leaning my head back against the car seat, I stared at the dark ceiling, forcing myself not to hurl the device straight through the windshield. My pulse pounded in my ears, but when I finally spoke, my voice was eerily calm. How long? A pause. Then nothing. David. How long? A breath, hesitant and unsteady. It doesn't. If you say it doesn't matter one more time, I swear. Silence. A long, suffocating silence. Then, barely above a whisper, she finally admitted, 6 months. The world tilted. 6 months. Half a year. She had been lying to me, sleeping beside me, kissing me, pretending, for 6 whole months. A bitter laugh forced its way out of my throat. Unbelievable. David, please, she rushed out. It wasn't serious. My fingers tightened around the phone until my knuckles ached. Not serious? My voice was shaking now. Then what was it, Lauren? A hobby. You weren't around, she snapped, her tone shifting to something defensive, sharp. You've been working late, traveling, always busy. I was lonely and I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. Oh, so this is my fault? That's not what I'm saying. Isn't it? Another long pause. Then, barely above a whisper, she asked, Are you coming home? I squeezed my eyes shut. I should have hung up, should have ignored the call in the first place. But I needed to hear it, to let it settle in until it was carved into me. Finally, I exhaled and opened my eyes. Not tonight. Before she could say anything else, I ended the call. Then I just sat there, staring at my reflection in the darkened window, and the realization hit me harder than anything she had said. I wasn't sure if I was ever going home. I didn't sleep, couldn't. The entire night, I sat in my car, parked behind some gas station, staring blankly ahead as my thoughts spiraled. Every moment, every word, every second of that conversation looped in my mind like some cruel, never-ending replay. The jacket draped over the couch, the 2 glasses of wine, the way she had looked at me. Not guilty, not ashamed, just annoyed, as if I had ruined her night. By the time the sun came up, I felt like a ghost trapped inside my own body. My limbs felt weighted down, my throat raw from all the things I hadn't said, and my eyes burned from a night without rest. My phone buzzed. 3 missed calls. 3 unread messages. Lauren. David, please just talk to me. Lauren. Can you tell me where you are? Lauren, you're being ridiculous. Come home. Ridiculous. That was the word she chose, as if catching her with someone else was just a silly misunderstanding. I dropped my phone onto the passenger seat and gripped the steering wheel so tightly my fingers went numb. I should have been heading to work. I should have been showering, shaving, doing anything besides sitting in a gas station parking lot, letting my life crumble around me. Instead, 20 minutes later, I found myself pulling into an unfamiliar neighborhood. I hadn't planned on coming here, but some part of me, some fractured, instinctive part, needed to see someone who wouldn't make my blood boil. Someone who wasn't tangled in the wreckage of my marriage. I knocked. It took a few seconds, but then the door swung open, and she stood there. Emma. She blinked up at me, her eyebrows pulling together in confusion. David? I exhaled. Hey. Her frown deepened. You look awful. A breath that was almost a laugh slipped out. Yeah. Long night. She studied me, arms crossed, as if trying to piece together why I was suddenly standing on her doorstep at 7 in the morning. Emma had been Lauren's best friend for years, but somewhere along the way she had become mine too. We had the same sense of humor, the same guilty love for terrible reality TV. And, more than anything, she was the one person I could always rely on for honesty whether I wanted to hear it or not. I didn't know why I was here. But then she sighed and stepped aside. Come in. I walked inside. The moment she shut the door, she turned to face me. Okay. What happened? I hesitated. Then finally I said the words out loud. She cheated on me. Emma didn't gasp. She didn't cover her mouth in shock. Instead, she closed her eyes. And in that moment, I knew. My stomach plummeted. You knew. She inhaled sharply. Opened her mouth. Closed it again. Then carefully she said, David. But I was already stepping back, shaking my head. You knew. Just let me explain. A sharp, humorless laugh slipped out. How long? Emma winced. I found out 2 months ago. 2 months. A crack split through me, deep and jagged. She reached for me. David, I wanted to tell you, I swear. But sheesh. I stepped back. But she what? Emma hesitated. Then, barely above a whisper, she admitted she told me she was going to leave you. The air left my lungs. Everything blurred like I had stepped outside my own body. She was going to leave me. Lauren hadn't made a mistake. She hadn't fallen into something she regretted. She had been looking for a way out. And the worst part? She wasn't even going to tell me. The room seemed to shrink around me, the walls pressing in, forcing me to confront the reality I wasn't ready to face. Emma's revelation lingered in the air, heavy and suffocating. Her words played over and over in my mind. She told me she was going to leave you. My pulse thundered in my ears as I stared at her, searching for some sign that I had misheard, that she was mistaken. That, despite everything, Lauren hadn't been secretly planning my downfall for months. But Emma wasn't the kind to lie. The guilt etched into her expression, the way her gaze skittered away from mine, told me everything I needed to know. A dry swallow caught in my throat. So what was Lauren waiting for, then? The right opportunity? A moment when I was away long enough for her to pack her things and disappear? Emma pressed her lips into a thin line. She said she didn't want to hurt you, she murmured. A sharp, humorless laugh escaped me. Right, because sneaking around with someone else and getting caught is so much less painful. Emma flinched at my words but didn't argue. I dragged both hands over my face, my thoughts racing in frantic circles, desperate for an explanation, any explanation. But in the end, it didn't matter. Because this was Lauren. This was who she had always been. Calculating. Deceptive. The kind of person who could look me in the eyes and lie without hesitation while sharing someone else's bed. And the worst part? Emma had known. I turned back to her, something bitter churning inside me. And you were just going to let it happen? Let me keep pretending everything was fine while she had one foot out the door. Emma shook her head quickly. David, it wasn't like that. I told her she needed to tell you. I told her she couldn't keep. She exhaled sharply, breaking off. She said she would do it when the time was right. A cold anger settled in my chest. And when was that supposed to be? My jaw tightened as a darker thought crept in. If I hadn't walked in on them last night, would she have ever told me? Or would she have just kept lying, letting me believe everything was fine while sneaking around behind my back? Emma hesitated, just for a second. But it was enough. I let out another bitter laugh, shaking my head. You really thought she was going to tell me? Emma's shoulders slumped. I don't know. But she did. She just didn't want to say it. I turned away, bracing my hands against the back of her couch, my breath shallow and uneven. Everything was unraveling so fast I could hardly process it. Just yesterday, I had a wife. A home. A life that, while not perfect, felt at least stable. Yeah? I had no idea what I had left. Behind me, Emma shifted uncomfortably. David, I'm sorry. I should have told you. Yeah, I said quietly. You should have. The silence between us grew heavy, thick with everything left unsaid. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't need to look to know who it was. Lauren. Emma watched me, waiting to see if I would pick up. I didn't. My eyes remained fixed on her name flashing on the screen. The woman who had spent half a year orchestrating my humiliation. And in that moment, something inside me solidified. I wasn't going to sit here and listen to her excuses. I wasn't going to let her spin this into some misunderstanding, something we could fix, something I could forgive. She had made her decision. Now I was making mine. I turned back to Emma, my voice steadier than it had been all morning. I need a lawyer. She didn't respond right away, just studied me as if unsure whether I truly meant it. David, she started, but I cut her off. Do you know one or not? After a brief hesitation, she nodded. Yeah, I do. I exhaled. Good. Give me their number. Emma shifted on her feet. Are you sure you want to do this right now? You haven't even talked to her yet. A sharp laugh broke from my throat. Talk to her? About what? Whether she enjoyed sneaking around for 6 months. Whether she actually planned on leaving me, or if she just liked having me as her backup plan. Emma flinched but didn't argue. She knew. Lauren had never intended to come clean. She would have kept me in the dark, letting me think I was the problem. Letting me beg for her time and attention while she spent her nights with someone else. I wasn't going to give her the chance to twist the story. Emma sighed, rubbing her temples. All right, let me grab my laptop. As she disappeared down the hall, I sank onto the couch, my head pounding. My phone buzzed again. Another call. Another text. Lauren. David, please pick up. Just talk to me. Lauren. This isn't what you think. Lauren. Where are you? I stared at the messages, feeling a slow, simmering rage build beneath my skin. She was panicking. Good. I didn't respond. Emma returned a few minutes later, setting her laptop down on the coffee table. Her fingers moved quickly over the keyboard before she turned the screen toward me. His name is Mark Lanning. Divorce attorney. He's good. I barely glanced at the screen before picking up my phone and dialing the number. Emma's eyes widened. David, wait. But it was already ringing. 1 ring. 2. 3. Then a voice answered. Mark Lanning's office. I sat up straighter. Yeah. I need a divorce lawyer. There was a brief pause. Okay. I can set up a consultation. What's your name? I gave her my information along with a time that worked. She ran through the details, what to bring, where to go. Routine for her. Just another client. Another marriage that had reached its breaking point. The moment I ended the call, a sense of control washed over me. Across from me, Emma studied my face intently. So that's it, she asked, her voice careful. No chance of fixing this? I met her gaze, a cold weight settling in my chest. Instead of responding, she simply turned and walked away as if my presence no longer mattered. My voice, when I finally spoke, felt devoid of warmth, empty. A year from now, she'll wish she could take it all back, I muttered to myself. But by then, I won't be here. The drive back felt different, almost surreal. I wasn't going back to reason with her. I wasn't going back to argue. I wasn't even going back to seek closure. No, I was going back so she could witness the consequences of her choices firsthand. I wanted her to see the man she had deceived, betrayed, and cast aside walking away for good. As I pulled into the driveway, my eyes landed on her immediately. Lauren stood by the front door, arms crossed, pacing in that agitated way she always did when things weren't going her way. The second she spotted my car, she stopped abruptly, straightened, and locked her eyes onto mine, sharp and focused like a predator zeroing in on prey. I didn't hurry. Instead, I cut the engine, took a deep breath, and deliberately moved at my own pace. By the time I stepped out, she was already making her way toward me. David. Her voice was softer than the night before, but there was something beneath it, something calculated. She had spent the last few hours crafting whatever excuse she was about to throw my way. I shut the car door, offering her nothing in response. She hesitated before stepping closer, searching my face, trying to find a crack, some sign of regret, a weakness she could use to reel me back in. I gave her none. Can we go inside and talk? She asked carefully. A bitter laugh almost escaped me. Now she wanted to talk? Where was this sudden desire for honesty when she was sneaking around with Jake? When she had spent 6 months lying straight to my face? I shook my head. No. Her brows pulled together, thrown off by my immediate rejection. No? I didn't repeat myself. Instead, I brushed past her and headed toward the front door. She was quick to follow. David, don't do this, she pleaded. Can we just? I ignored her and stepped inside. Everything in the house looked exactly as it had the night before, yet it felt entirely different. The air was thick, heavy with the weight of everything unspoken. It felt tainted. I moved with purpose, heading straight for the bedroom. Behind me, I could hear Lauren's hurried steps as she tried to keep up. David, she pressed, her voice more urgent now. Can you stop for just 1 second? I did. Standing at the threshold of the room, my eyes swept over the space. The bed was neatly made. The nightstand, where 2 wine glasses had once rested just hours ago, was now empty. The scent in the air had shifted too. scrubbed clean of whatever perfume she had worn for someone else. She had tried to erase the evidence. I turned to face her, my voice flat. Where is it? Her brow creased in confusion. Where's what? The necklace. For a split second, something flickered across her face. Guilt, frustration, or maybe both. She exhaled. David. Where is it, Lauren? My patience was gone. My voice cut through the air, sharp and demanding. She swallowed before answering. I threw it out. Cold laugh escaped me. Right? Like that changes anything. She sighed, rubbing her temples as if I were the one exhausting her. David, can we just... I didn't let her finish. Instead, I walked past her, heading straight for the closet. I grabbed my suitcase, yanked it open, and began throwing clothes inside without a second thought. Her expression shifted in an instant. Panic flared in her eyes. Wait, what are you doing? I didn't answer. I just kept packing. David, she tried again, her voice sharper now. What the hell are you doing? I zipped the suitcase closed and finally turned to her. What does it look like? Her lips parted slightly, realization dawning on her. You're leaving. I laughed dryly, shaking my head. Unbelievable. With that, I grabbed my bag and brushed past her once more, walking straight out of the bedroom. She was right behind me, her steps quick and frantic. David, stop. I didn't. I descended the stairs, each step bringing me closer to the door, closer to the end of this. And then, suddenly, she grabbed my arm. I stopped. Her grip was firm, nails digging into my skin. When I turned to face her, I saw it real fear. Not guilt, not remorse, just fear. Because for the first time, she understood. She was losing control. David, please, she breathed. Don't do this. We can fix this. She was still clinging to the illusion that I was the same man she had deceived for half a year. That she could still manipulate me. I pulled my arm free. No, Lauren. My voice was quiet, but firm. Unshakable. You did this. Then, without another glance, I opened the door and stepped outside. And this time I wasn't coming back. The moment I crossed the threshold, I felt it, freedom. But not the kind filled with open highways and endless possibilities. This was different. This was the kind of freedom that came from cutting something toxic out of your life. The kind that came from finally letting go of something that had been dragging you down for far too long. Before I could take another step, I heard her voice again. David. This time, her tone was different, sharper, almost frantic. She wasn't just watching me walk away. She was realizing I wasn't coming back. Then, the sound of her bare feet against the pavement. She was running. David, stop. I kept moving, my grip tightening around the suitcase handle. And then, she did something unexpected. She ran in front of me. She moved so quickly I had to stop short to avoid colliding with her. And there she stood. Lauren. Breathless. Disheveled. Her hair a tangled mess. She stood in the driveway, as if her presence alone could physically prevent me from leaving. I inhaled deeply, forcing myself to remain composed. Move, I said evenly. She shook her head. No. I took a step to the side, and she mirrored my movement. I tried the other direction, again she followed. A short, humorless laugh escaped me as I stared at her, baffled by the sheer absurdity of it all. Are you serious right now? Her gaze was intense, unwavering. You're not leaving like this, as if she wasn't the reason I was walking away in the first place. My jaw clenched. Lauren, move. Now. Her hands balled into fists at her sides. We need to talk about this. I let out a slow, controlled breath. We don't. Yes, we do. Her voice wavered just slightly, the first sign of her confidence slipping. You're making a mistake. I actually laughed. An incredulous, disbelieving sound. I'm making a mistake? I repeated, the words thick with irony. Lauren, I walked in on you with another man. In our house. I gestured toward the building behind us. And now you're standing here, telling me I'm the one making a mistake? She swallowed hard, her expression tightening. as if she wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. And for the first time since this whole thing started, she had nothing to say. No justifications. No excuses. Because deep down she knew she had gone too far. I stepped around her again, this time with more force. When she tried to follow, I turned sharply, meeting her eyes with an icy stare. "If you try to stop me again," I warned, my voice steady, emotionless, lethal, "I will call the cops if that's what it takes to leave." Her lips parted slightly, her face flickering with shock. And just like that she froze. I didn't wait for a response. I walked straight to my car, threw my suitcase into the trunk, and pulled the door open. As I backed out of the driveway, she remained where she stood, still watching, still hoping. But I didn't look back. I drove without a destination, only away from the house, away from her, away from the destruction she had left in her wake. The city blurred past in streaks of gray and blue, though I barely registered any of it. My hands were firm on the wheel, my pulse no longer hammering in my ears. I was done. No more explanations. No more arguments. No more letting her twist the truth into something unrecognizable. For the first time in months, maybe even years, I was in control. Then my phone rang. I didn't need to look to know who it was. Lauren. I let it ring. She called again. And again. When I still didn't answer, the calls turned into messages. "Lauren, David, please. Lauren, where are you? Lauren, we need to talk." Need. That word again. She had never needed to talk while she was sneaking around behind my back. Never needed me while she was wrapped around someone else. But now that I was gone, now she needed me. I kept driving. Then another message. "Lauren, I'll tell you everything. Please, just pick up." I let out a dry laugh, shaking my head. Yeah? Now she wanted to tell the truth? When it no longer mattered? Another text followed, this time different. "Lauren, if you don't talk to me, you'll only be hearing my side through my lawyer." And there it was. The shift. The moment desperation hardened into something else, something sharper, more calculated. She realized she had lost control, so now she was resorting to threats. I pulled into an empty parking lot and, for the first time, picked up the phone. My voice was calm, detached, almost unrecognizable. "You're getting a lawyer." She exhaled like she was relieved I had finally answered. "David, Good, I cut in. "So am I." Silence. Then, softer, she tried again. "David, we don't have to do this." I pressed my fingers against my forehead, exhaling slowly. "You've got some nerve, Lauren." "I know I messed up," she admitted quickly. "But can we just take a second to—" "No." Silence again. I could almost picture her, struggling to process the fact that, for the first time in our relationship, she wasn't the one steering the conversation. Her voice dropped, quieter now, more fragile. "David, I never wanted to lose you." A humorless smile tugged at my lips. "You should have thought about that before spending 6 months in another man's bed." She inhaled sharply, as if the words had physically hit her. "I didn't mean for this to happen." I closed my eyes. But it did. A shaky breath. I knew then she was close to tears. Once that would have meant something to me. Once I would have cared. But not anymore. I opened my eyes, staring at the empty road ahead. "I'll be in touch," I said simply. "David." I hung up. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her number. The moment I did, it was as if a switch had been flipped. The noise stopped. No more calls. No more texts. No more desperate attempts to pull me back into her chaos. Just like that, she was gone. I leaned back against the driver's seat, my eyes fixed on the road stretching endlessly before me. And for the first time in hours, maybe even in months, I exhaled without that familiar weight pressing down on my chest. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't drowning in questions with no answers. I was just done. I never returned to that house. There was nothing left for me there, nothing worth holding on to. Instead, I drove straight to a hotel, checked in, and finally let exhaustion take over. The following weeks passed in a haze of legal paperwork and an eerie silence. Lauren attempted to reach out in different ways. Emails, messages through mutual friends, even a handwritten letter, as if putting words on paper would somehow make a difference. I never read it, I didn't need to. My lawyer handled everything on my behalf. I refused to attend the meetings where she tried to justify her actions. I had no interest in her apologies, her explanations, or any desperate attempts to reshape the past. She had made her decisions, and now I was making mine. The divorce was finalized much faster than I had anticipated. With no children and no jointly owned property, there was little to dispute. Of course, she fought for certain things, but in the end I let her have what she wanted. It didn't matter to me. She could keep the furniture, the dishes, even those ridiculously overpriced rugs she once obsessed over. My only concern was cutting all ties and walking away. And when the final documents were signed, when the ink had dried on the last page, I stepped out of that lawyer's office and into a life that was finally my own again. At first, she stayed silent. But almost exactly a year later, that changed. One night, a message popped up from an unfamiliar number. It was Lauren. "I miss you." I stared at the screen, shaking my head. A full year had gone by. And now, after chasing whatever fleeting excitement she had thrown everything away for, after destroying something real for something temporary, she suddenly wanted me back. I didn't respond. She kept trying. Again. And again. "I made a mistake. Can we talk? I think about you all the time." Her words sat there on my screen, empty and meaningless. She had walked away as if I never mattered. And now, after all this time, she was desperate to return. But by then I had already forgotten what it felt like to love her.